Just because practice is over does not mean that your training is finished. I learned at an early point in my development as a grappler and martial artist that championships are won and lost by what you do outside of the mat and outside of the gym. Now, for those of you that don't compete, you're not off the hook. There are things that you can do outside of just regular everyday training at your academy that will improve your jiu-jitsu and improve whether you do striking, anything you do really. Number one for me was taking notes. I took notes so much, it was sickening. I used so many daggone notebooks. I still have notebooks for when I want to jot down certain things that confuse me or I might not understand during practice. And if you were to look at my white belt notebook and my blue belt notebook and all the other notebooks that I've used, I would actually draw the arms, the legs, the hand position. I was very thorough. Now, not all of you are a savant like me. Like, I'm kind of Rain Man when it comes to me taking notes. But I say taking notes is going to help you reinforce what you learn. Even if you don't read them all the time, you might not read them at all. Just by simply writing down and taking the notes, you're going to remember it that much more. It's another way to reinforce what you learned. Another thing that I do, and I'll get more into detail in another video, is strength and conditioning, or some kind of conditioning. Especially for all my people that compete, I've heard of one person that has done jiu-jitsu and won a black belt world title and does not do any kind of strength and conditioning, and that is Marcelo Garcia. And he is a outlier. He is the exception, not the rule. At this point in jiu-jitsu, all the black belts or the upper level guys know a little bit of everything. And when you're studying someone, there's only a finite amount of stuff that they're going to do. They're not going to pull out all the stops most of the time. So, if it's that close, if everyone's that good, and the difference between winning and losing is microscopic, and your opponent has been doing strength and conditioning year round and you haven't, that is going to be the tipping point that will make you lose. I guarantee it. I do not know any black belt world champion from this past year that has not lifted weights, has not done sprints, has not done any kind of running. They just do jiu-jitsu and go home and then do jiu-jitsu all day without doing some kind of extracurricular fitness activity. So, I say do strength and conditioning. It doesn't matter what it is, but it has to be something, and find someone that's good. Outside of that, stretching, warming up, cooling down. My buddy DJ, he doesn't warm up. He's the exception, not the rule. Unless you want to tear a muscle, especially for my older guys, you need to warm up. Every practice, we do a warm-up, we get our blood pumping, we get our muscles loose, then we go into technique. If you're contorting and twisting your body, you're pushing or pulling without any kind of warm-up, your muscles are cold, you're risking damaging them. So you need to do a warm-up. Especially for guys that don't train every day, you train like 3 or 2 times a week, man, you don't want to waste that valuable time by not stretching. And it's a very manageable injury. It's not like it's something that's very preventable. So don't tear a muscle, don't injure yourself, warm up, then get into technique. And other than that, eating right. You have to eat right. I used to eat a 20-piece chicken McNugget meal with large fries, but I had a Powerade with it, so I figured, hey, I have electrolytes for practice. That was my meal plan at times. I wouldn't do this all the time, but I used to eat junk food and still train. Now, I invested in a proper nutrition plan. I cook my meals, I make sure they're prepared, and I stick to my diet as best I can. If you're eating like crap, don't expect to be able to put everything you can into training. And the older you get, the more difficult it's going to be to reconcile the crummy eating into giving the best performance in practice. I'll tell you the difference. After I started a meal plan, I felt and still feel way better than I did when I was just eating whatever. because my stomach wouldn't bother me. And everyone knows if you eat any kind of junk food or you eat crappy food before you go train, your stomach's going to be feeling weird and you're going to be focused on, I don't want to crap my pants or vomit, instead of focusing on your training. Be honest with yourself. So those are the things that you can do outside of the academy and outside of the training area after you leave and you're home or you're living your life, that will improve your jiu-jitsu or your kickboxing or your Muay Thai or whatever.